Welcome back to Pickleball Journey. Today we're talking about the drop. We're talking about the tactical, the physical, and the technical
side of the drop. My name's Elisha.
I'm Justin.
Let's get into it. All right, so the first aspect of the drop that we're going to talk about is physical side of it. So the first thing physically what we want to be doing is moving forward through our drop. The reason we want to be doing this, we want to be hitting the drop moving forward is so that we're in a good position that if we do hit a good enough drop, we're able to move to the kitchen somewhat quickly. We'll get closer so that maybe we only have to hit one drop, maybe two drops, and then be at that kitchen line. If I'm hitting the drop as I'm moving backwards, I'm going to have to establish myself and then transfer my weight back forward again, which loses me time. So then they're going to hit another ball and I might be hitting 3 drops instead of the 1 or 2 that I want to be hitting. So this first physical tip is making sure that we're moving forward into our drop versus back into our drop.
All right, so real quick, in addition to what Elisha was saying, we want to be moving forward. We also want our body position right behind the ball as much as we can, and we want to get in a good athletic stance. Not too low, but we obviously don't want to be standing straight and hitting this. So just a good athletic stance right behind the ball. We often see the mistake of people turning their body and trying to hit a drop like this, or it's off too far. Take a step over, get right behind it, and you're just pushing that drop right over the net. Now, an exception to what Elisha said about moving forward, again, we almost always, or we mostly always want to be moving forward as we're hitting a drop. But let's say we get here in the court and a ball gets hit behind us and we're forced to be moving back while we're hitting. We don't want to just stay back here and keep our foot on the ground. A way that we want to maintain balance is by lifting up the opposite foot with the paddle you're hitting with. So I'm moving back here and I'm lifting this foot up and hitting so that I can maintain balance. Again, this is an exception to the rule that Elisha was talking about. We do want to always try to get back first and then move forward and hit our drops like that.
All right, so the next section we're getting into for the drop is the technical. Part of our technical is what grip we use. There are 3 different grips that typically are used, is the continental, the eastern, and the semi-western. So continental is where I use that hammer grip, basically the front edge, using that. Eastern, my first knuckle is lined up with the target or the center face of the paddle. In semi-western, my first knuckle is lined up with the left edge, or in right-hander's case, your first knuckle is lined up with the right. Or you can I also call this the frying pan grip. You're cooking eggs or bacon in your paddle, and how you know if you're using the semi-western grip, put your paddle on the ground, you pick it up, that's a semi-western grip. So what grip Justin and I like to use is the eastern grip. So it's the in-between continental and semi-western. It's right in between. I use this for all my shots, my backhand, my forehand, my drops, everything. So try out all these grips, see which one you like best. I know that when I am slightly off with my grip, my drop doesn't go where I want it to go. It'll either go short in the net or it'll go long. So I really zoned in my drop with my certain grip. So make sure you pick a grip, keep to it the same every time, and that way you zone in the consistent drop.
All right, so we're talking about the technicals of the swing path for the drop. So there's a couple different ways. I'd say 2 primary ways people do the swing. There's one where you can take it back, swing all the way through. Another way, this is a way that I prefer, is to be more out in front and you're just pushing out forward towards your target. Now, it's good to experiment with both ways, but typically we recommend being out in front and pushing forward, because when you do take a swing path back here, there's more room for error. The reason why is because now you've got this swing here, and where you're contacting the ball, there's more opportunity to miss the exact center of your paddle. When you're out in front like this, you're watching it come in, and it's just right there. You're just letting the ball lay right on your paddle, and you're pushing up. Now, a couple other things to be thinking about with the swing path. Keep it simple to start. Don't go hitting too much spin as you're trying to hit the drop. We often see, again, So this is a mistake when you do have this swing here, is people are chopping at it, trying to hit a lot of spin on it, or they're hitting over it and trying to hit topspin. Same thing out in front here. We don't want to get too complex when we're starting off with the drop, but really just pushing out towards your target. As you do get better and as you experiment more and you're trying to put more spin on, Leish and I, we do like to push out and finish up a little bit like this. By making our paddle come straight up and to the side, we're adding a little bit of spin for the ball to come down over. Notice this is different. We're not brushing over like this. There's no wrist movement. We're keeping our wrist movements very simple. We're not getting super wristy, but again, we're just pushing up and adding a little bit of turn at the end. So these are a couple of the technicals for the swing path of the drop.
The last section on the drop is the tactical. So this is what we're thinking strategically about when we play. So the thing that we're going to talk about is placement as a target over the net. When I initially start to play, I start with high drops. I get comfortable, I get confident. So getting at least 3 to 4 feet over the net, dipping inside the kitchen. Once I get confident with that, my margins start to lower. Then I start hitting it 2 feet, 1 foot over the net, get it nice and low, dropping low. But I never start with trying to hit small margins, because if I start missing in the net, my confidence goes kaputs. And if that happens, then I start missing a ton. So I'm going to start with high confidence, good high over the net, then margins get smaller. Another thing to be thinking about is your positioning in the court. This is important tactically, because if I'm inside the court, it's going to be a shorter distance. So I need to be softening up my shots. And if I'm at a larger distance from the net, I need to be hitting a little further, right? A little bit harder. A lot of people don't think about this. They hit the same pace, same speed for all their drops, and then all of a sudden they're halfway in, they're hitting it too far and then getting smacked on. So make sure that you're thinking about and you're noticing your positioning in the court, so you're able to put the certain amount of pace on it that you need to be able to get the height and the margin that you need to at the time.
All right, a few other tactical tips to add into here. When you're hitting this drop, a lot of times it's the third ball. We want to be hitting this to the person coming in. So that's going to be the returner coming in. We're hitting to that person. They're going to have a tougher time taking that ball out of the air than the person that's already at the net. Another spot, if both of them are at the net, we want to try to sometimes pick on that middle spot. So target the middle. We always say down the middle solves the riddle, because it can cause confusion. Who knows who's going to get it? We've actually hit winners before off of drops because one player thinks the other is going for it and they get confused. Neither of them hits it. So those are a couple things. We want to, this is in tournament play. We want to target the weaker player. Again, if you're playing rec play, don't pick on the weak guy. You want to actually probably hit to the guy that's better, so you're getting better points, better competition. When it comes to a tournament, a match that counts, find that weaker player, find the weaker spot. If that's the backhand, hit to the backhand. If it's the forehand, find the weakness and hit there on the drop. So those are the tactical things on the drop. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks to Engage for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out the link in the description if you want 20% off any Engage paddle.